gentlemen. We will start the last session of this prolific event. Please allow me to introduce our last but not least speaker of this event, Professor Jean-François Breton. Would you please have a seat, Professor?
Okay, I have a seat.
Thank you. Professor Breton from Maison de Sciences de l'Homme Monde in France. He worked in Yemen as a director of French archaeological mission, mainly in Chabois, and a former capital of the Kingdom of Hadramaut for 20 years. Then he managed in the whole Horn of Africa cooperation programs in social sciences. Furthermore, he served as the director of the French Center for the Ethiopian Studies based in Addis Ababa. Also, he was in charge of National Heritage, Archaeological History and Contemporary Studies programs. Today, his topic is about the eagle in South Arabian iconography. Professor, the stage is yours.
Yes, thank you. So, good evening, everybody. First, I want to thank the organizer of this marvelous conference, our dear Mohammed Marakten and Sheikh Hassan Hassani. So, the title is The Eagle in South Arabian Iconography. The eagle is generally an admired animal with dual symbolism, royal and warlike. In classical Greece, however, the eagle appeared above all as the symbol of the great Persian king. It was only after Alexander's victory over the Persian Empire in 331 BCE that the symbolism of the sovereign eagle was developed within the Hellenistic monarchies. In Greek mythology, the eagle is an attribute of Zeus, the king of birds and the birds of kings, carrying thunderbolts to the ruler of the sky and the only animal residing in the heavens. As the lion was the lord of the earth among animals, so the eagle was the lord of the sky. Also, the eagle is a Persian emblem that symbolizes the great king. But subsequently, the Greeks attributed the eagles to the great king as an emblem without trying to compete with him. But the Hellenistic rulers recovered the eagle's prestigious image, which appeared on their coins. In Roman history, on the other hand, the image of the eagle was closely associated with Urbs, Roma, from the very beginning of the history, with bird symbolism being recycled, as it were, as political regimes change. And the double image of the eagle as both king and warrior, the first faded after the monarchic period, while the second came to the fore. Finally, no doubt that under Hellenistic influence, the image of the eagle once again became a symbol of personal power under the empire. Now the question is how the ancient pre-Islamic people integrated this Greek and Roman symbolism. That question remains unanswered. Was there an interpretatio Arabica or even South Arabica of Greek and Roman divinities by the inhabitants of Arabia? What is the meaning of this representation of eagles and eagles associated with snakes from the beginning of the first century? So, quick is the summary. First part will be eagle and coins. Second will be eagles iconography in Arabia, both in north and south. And part 3, eagles versus snakes. While the eagles adorns coins as early as the 6th century BC, between 600 and 550 BC in Ionia, Ionia is Western Asia Minor, its appearance in South Arabia coins do not predate the 3rd century BC. To the reverse, while the owl is represented on coins as early as the 6th century BC, also in Asia Minor, the earliest example here in electrum. Electrum is a mix of gold and silver with amount of copper, found in the temple of Artemisias at Ephesus, circa 640 BC. Then the tetradrachm with owls are known from Athens from around 490-400 BC, but in South Arabia, tetradrachm, other fraction and other denomination of the Attic standard, imitating original of the Athenian 4th century or occasionally 5th century BC style, appear to be attributed to Kataban and sometimes to Saba, with a possible precedence to Kataban according to Monroe. The reason of this chronological gap, yet to be satisfied, would seem to be linked with the power of Athenian trade. The golden eagle, Aquila chrysasteos, native to the Greek world, is frequently seen on ancient coins, and the earliest appearance of an eagle on a coin is about 580 BC on this electrum hector stata. Previous, this one. So you have coin with owls and coins with eagles. Eagle coins are very few in South Arabia, mainly known from Hadramaut. They circulated between 1st century BC and 1st AD, according to rare private collection in Vienna and Mukalla Museum. In Nabatea also, there are a number of coins with eagles. Now I come to Arabian coins with eagle from Eastern Arabia, Failaka and the Gulf. We found 5 small coins from Failaka, the island near Kuwait, so-called Arab silver coinage of northeast of Arabia, coming from an Hellenistic fort F5, 3rd century BC. You have one example here. You have a standing, seated personage, probably a king, holding an eagle on his right hand. That was published by Callot in 1990. Also, Abiel coinage with eagles. In the 3rd century BC, an Eastern Arabian ruler began to produce marked imitation of the coinage of Alexander III the Great, replacing Alexander names in Greek on the reverse of the coinage with a formula in Aramaic consisting of the name Abiel plus the name of Abiel's father, and at least 5 individuals are mentioned, indicating that there were several successive rulers named Abiel the second. Here are also some examples with this seated personage holding an eagle with his right hand. Now, South Arabian coins with eagles. While coins with eagles appeared in Asia Minor, as I was told, in Greece in 6th century BC, South Arabian coins do not figure eagles before the 1st BC. At least from the 2nd century BC, South Arabia was already in contact with Ptolemaic Egypt, and some coins would have been imported, like the one here from Timna. And later, in 1st BC, South Arabian merchants trading with the Nabateans and Petra in particular were aware of the Nabatean coinage with eagles. They would have been inclined to mint coins with eagle. So here is an example from Timna in the Museum of Beihan, BC, with the head of Zeus, Ammon, on the reverse an eagle standing on a thunderbolt, and the sovereign is Ptolemy III Evergetes, 247-222 BC. In Hadramaut, you have Hadrami coins with eagles. So I take two examples. On the left, it is an example from Ukala Museum published by Alexander Sidov. And obverse, you have a male head facing right with hair in long ringlets. On the left, behind the head, you have M. On the right, before face downwards, two last letters of Hadrami inscription, Sayins. On the reverse, eagle standing right on a curved line with open wings, and a top behind, inscription partly visible Shakar, the name of the royal palace of Shabwa, and traces of Hadrami inscription, Yasha Ha, only one letter, first letter is visible. On the other side, on the right side also, you have the Shakar and Sayin, god of Hadramaut. Now, second part, eagle as a decoration. I will be very short with Nabatean art because the eagle is associated with war in Roman mythology, also linked with the fate of the deceased warrior, and you have numerous eagles depicted on tombs on the heights of Petra and Hegra. So it's hardly surprising that eagles are associated with heights and mountains. The legitimate eagles inhabit mountains, preferably high mountains, while the bastard eagle inhabits plains or marshes. This mountain animal is characterized by the ruggedness, but also by his valure. So eagle in Nabatean arts, yesterday Lamia Al-Khouri showed some example. On the left, this is one from Petra in Wadi Dhaifa, and you have a series of niches, a staircase, one which contains a figurative relief of an eagle. According to some author, that could be, with a question mark, a representation of Baal Shamin. On the right, an Hirwatet Tanur, also an eagle acroterion with open wings, dated 1st century BC, 1st AD, high one, 58 centimeters wide and 45 high. These representations are here very precisely located in a funerary context. The so-called eagle accompanies the cult of the deceased in the Nabatean religions. They are perched above the tomb's doors, probably representing the god Dushara, or even the god of the sky and protector of the inviolability of the tomb. This protective and apotropic function seems to confirm the central location in Acroteria at the center of the tombs. Here another example from Adain Saleh in Jabal Aitlib, arch niche containing a betil surmounted by eagle with outstretched wings. There is another example in the same Jabal al-Aitlib. Now the question is eagles in South Arabia. Were eagle gods in South Arabia? How did the South Arabian view the eagle? The frequent depiction of the eagle seems to suggest that the South Arabian held the eagle in high regard. But is there a correlation between the eagle and any deity? Only one inscription from Shabwa, RES 4698, establishes a special relationship between Sayin, the principal god of Hadramaut, and the eagle. Yadail Bain, king of Hadramaut, son of Yadab Raylan, king of Hadramaut, of the lineage of Humayun, dedicated an offer to his lord, Sayin Zualim, the eagle of the eagle that came to him from the north, and he dedicated to him. Alors, there are two questions here. The question is, first, it seems that the Nasser, the eagle, was imported from the north. In this text, the verb tau, bring, meaning to bring, is well attested in like Shama'at, north. The preposition bin in a local function requires no further justification that the eagle that has been imported for him from the north. The fact that his eagle depiction is undoubtedly quite expensive import from the Roman Hellenistic north, probably from Nabatea. Now, if we take the text again, according to Christian Robin, this text can be understood in two ways. Either dedicated to his lord, Sayin Zu Alim, who is nicknamed the Eagle of Salfaan, an eagle, or dedicated to his lord, Sayin Zu Alim, the Eagle of Salfaan, an eagle. In the first, most plausible interpretation, Sayin himself is described as an eagle according to Christian Robin, if I'm not right. Now, some depictions of eagles in Saudi Arabia. Here are the first two. There is a restitution of an eagle above a stone base, inscribed by Karim of Kataban Shahar Illal, son of Yadab, surmounted by a square stone plate with a horizontally cut half sphere, fitted with 5 small mortises, restored by Pirene. She restored the bronze eagle with the talons attached by tenons. On the right side, Wadi Dura, tomb, parallelepiped ivory box with a flat lid and 4 interior compartments, one side of which is decorated with an eagle, framed with wine scrolls and rows of dentils, originally covered with gold leaf. Later, having suggestion with North Arabia, it would be appropriate to mention now contacts with the Arabian Gulf, and from here via Gerra, with the Parthian Sassanid world. Some plaques depict eagles with outstretched wings and elongated necks, showing some similarities, albeit distant, with motifs from the Parthian and Sassanid art. Eagles with outstretched wings are well known in Sassanid art, especially in jewelry and silverware. In Yemen, here, motifs from Himyar, dated by Paul Yule, 3rd to 6th century AD, with a style very distinctive, with a new stone engraving, rendering with radial lines resembling of cloisonnés of middles. So here are 3 examples. The most famous one is the arch stone from Masnat Maria, 2 meters large, showing 2 eagles, their wings spread, facing each other between monograms conveying personal and tribal name. According to Paul Yule, striking are the medallions with radiated lines which forms the bird breast, the precise cloisonné-like rendering of the feathers and the narrowed channel edge of the wings are characteristic of the Sassanian art. Also, you have a late Himyarine ringstone on the right up with a banded brown chalcedony, a long-necked bird, prey, probably an eagle, grasping a bull head, bucranium, by the horns. The inscription Wahab belongs to Sassanian iconography, also dated 6th century AD. Now we speak about eagles with snakes, which is part 3. I would say some words of mythology from the Greek and Latin side, excepting the Persian side. The extraordinary battle between two creatures is present in literature and art from the ancient world, both in the West and the East. The snake is an opposing prey for the eagle, and the struggle between these two animals highlights the eagle's strengths. The Greek noun drakoon and his Latin equivalent draco are terms that Greek and Latin authors have often understood in two different ways, if not opposed. When referring to a real snake, drakoon is commonly considered as a generic term. And when referring to a mythical snake, however, it is also often translated as dragon, a term derived from it via the Latin. Greek myths give snakes a very important place, which can be studied from the dual standpoint of view of their genealogy and function. Most snakes in the Greek mythology are presented as primordial beings and sons from the earth. They often act as guardian of territory, watering, springs, trees, treasure, and magical object. And these two characteristics, primordial nature and guardian function, help to explain why the serpent, the snake, is often the antagonist of both the gods and the heroes. The eagle is depicted as a warrior fighting a worthy enemy in a battle he may not win. So I will take, for example, if you allow me, a very short passage from a Latin author called Claudius Aelianus, who wrote a very strange book called The Characteristic of Animals, and it describes exactly the mythical fight of an eagle with a snake. So this is 5 lines only. Some men, 16 in all, reaping beneath a blazing sun and oppressed with thirst, dispatch one of their number to fetch water from a spring nearby. So the man went off with his reaping sickle in hand and the pail for drawing water over his shoulder. On the arrival, he found an eagle wrapped in the powerful grip of a snake, drakoon. The eagle happened to have swooped upon, but it failed to achieve its design and could not, as in Homer, carry their food to its young ones. Instead of that, it falls on the serpent coils, and so far from killing, was likely to be killed. So the husbandman, knowing that the eagle was the messenger and minister of the Zeus, and knowing too that the snake dragon was an evil brute, cut the beast, the snake, in two with the aforementioned sickle and released the eagle from that inescapable grip that bound it. So this is a very funny passage. Now, eagles and snake, well, already it was shown yesterday in the necropolis of Madain Saleh in tomb IGN number 24, dated 3536 AD. So you have a frieze topped by an eagle with an outstretched wing. And at the center of the pediment is carved the head of a mythological figure, Orbes or Humbaba, with two writhing snakes on their side. Also, Khirbat Tanur, which is a strange sculpture, unfinished. There is a fight between the eagle and a snake. So it's unfinished, but still now it's a half-a-meter high sculpture of an eagle grappling with a snake and standing on a wreath. It is not carved in a panel, still unfinished, and the wreath contains a plaster bowl. Now in South Arabian iconography, to what extent, the question is, as I told you before, to what extent did the South Arabian artist integrate this Greek or Latin mythology, the signs of victory and power, this representation of the snake connected to the earth and the eagle, symbol of victory? In fact, there is not much in the way of answers. So here are two plaques, one from Istanbul Museum, eagle fighting with a snake, the second on the right from Sana'a National Museum, an eagle between two snakes. The same from Sana'a and Aden Museum, the slab with eagle fighting with two snakes in low relief depicts an eagle which pecks the head of a snake bitten by a second reptile on the right. The subject may be connected with the myth of the cycle of life and death in an aspect of an eternal struggle, according to Paulo Costa. So, also, you have a snake killer, the Circaetus eagle, erected on his legs, on the left, with huge claws, seemingly indifferent to the two snakes threatening him from either side. The snake's bodies appear directly beside the eagle's claws, just above the lower frame. This makes it very difficult to tell if there are one or two snakes. Here are the few, in fact, representation of eagles fighting snakes in South Arabian iconography. So I would conclude by this short term. The study of eagles in South Arabia suggests that their depiction dates from no earlier than the very end of the first millennium BC. In any case, their distribution appears to be limited to Hadramaut, both on coins and on facing plates. The image of the eagle, almost divine or even deified, gradually spread from the Greco-Roman Middle East, then to the Nabatean area, and South Arabian merchants may have adapted some of this representation to their taste. Coinage is the most characteristic example of this. From the 3rd to the 5th century AD, new motifs undoubtedly appeared under Parthian and Sasanian influence, and I will conclude saying that the iconography of the fight between the eagle and the snake, rather common in the Middle East, seems to have a very few repercussions in South Arabia, given the very limited number of examples. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Breton, for your presentation. We already passed time, yet we may take one or two questions for him.
Sure, everybody's sleeping.
Dr. Leith.
Thank you very much. I think we speak about it. Do you think the original of the Nisr and the eagle came from Athirat to the south or from the south to the north?
I'm sorry, I did not understand.
We talk about the Nisr and the Nashrat and the Nisr, the original of the Nisr from the eagle. I mean Nisr. The eagle, the Nisr.
Is it the eagle?
Yeah. I mean, it is from, it is very good. We have very good examples in Hatra.
But I put away eagles in Egypt. I put away also eagles in Anatolia, Turkey. You have in Athirat, as you showed yesterday, beautiful eagles. But probably the same date, 1st or 2nd century AD, if I'm not wrong. I think eagles coming from Levant on the coast, slowly to Nabatea, to Khirbat al-Tanur, to Petra, then some example, few, down to Saudi Arabia. This is the, but also, which I do not know exactly, how many eagle depiction are in the Parthian and Parthian world. Sasanian I know, but Parthian, I answered your question or not?
Well, don't you think it's maybe a small evidence or influence from the Assyrian area, from Ashur to the area?
Possible. Possible. But I was looking for inscriptions in Syria. I mean, the whole Syria.
Assyrian Empire, yeah.
There is not a single inscription dealing with eagles and snakes. No one. The only one I found come from Dacia, former Yugoslavia. There is one inscription recording a fight between an eagle and a snake. And there is one very small broken piece from northern Syria with an eagle, with a very small text. I think there is 2 or 3 lines. I didn't show it here because the photo is so bad that...
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Dr.
Thank you.
Leith. Professor Martin? Professor Robban.
Thank you. A small detail, there is a god called Nasr, called the eagle. There is a god called Nasr in Sabah. A god.
Yes?
Called Nasr, the eagle.
Nasser.
Nasr,
Yes. But there's one in Shabwa, this one.
And you have a divinity in Sabah, which is called the Nasr, and also in Arabic, and it's a very, very famous god. So, a possible connection between the images is also with the god.
Right?
Also. You have an article by Müller about this god, and, with many, many attestations.
With a clearly defined connection between Nasser and as a god. From 1st century,
Yeah,
AD,
difficult to
BC?
say, rather ancient anyway.
Not earlier. Okay.
Just a little about the article of Müller. It's full details. We can send it to you if you don't have it. But there is a very important feature, and also which Müller suggests. We have Nasr and Naswar. Is it plural or the fi'wal form? So if it is fi'wal, it is possible that's the feminine goddess Nasr. It's not sure, but there is a possibility which Müller suggested that. So you have male and female for Nasr, and it was, as Müller figured out also in his study, it's one deity which was favored for women. We have Qaynan. There are some deities who really were favorites for women. Nasr or Naswar, both in dedications, because of the evidence, yeah. So it was favored for women. But my question, is on the relation between the eagle and the snake. Of course, there are in many cultures, and is there, what do you think, is there really this was a symbol or an indication of creation myths? Because it seems to be, I mean, according to my knowledge in some, it is one of the indications or symbols for creation myths. We cannot prove it in South Arab, that is fine, but who knows, it is possible, because among the, like Iliada or others say, okay, this is something for the creation. And I remember so very nice representation of the snake and the eagle in the area of the Mar. So you have it in Himyarite area, but it is very interesting, maybe to follow all the evidence. But I think the relation with the creation myths is possible. Not all of them are written in inscriptions or text, but also not easy to interpret the mythology. Okay, thank you.
Okay, but I will answer. I mean, the subject was iconography. So according to the few representations of eagles with snakes without inscription, you know, there is no answer, in fact. What really represents the struggle or the connection between the eagle and the snakes, sometimes you have two instead of one.
Yeah, thank you very much. We may have you,
شكراً.
please.
هي إضافة للندوة وليست سؤال للمحاور حاليا. كونها ندوة للحيوانات في الجزيرة العربية القديمة، ففي 2015 كان في فريق تنقيبي من سلطنة عمان، الجمعية الجيولوجية، وأخوة شارك فيها أساتذة من فرنسا ومن نذرلاند هولندا. اكتشفوا في منطقة الخوض في قريبة من مسقط لبعض العظام ترجع إلى ديناصورات، ويقدر عمرها لأكثر من 70 مليون سنة. لم تشر إلى أي من الأوراق اللي قدمت لهذا الاكتشاف، مع أنه من 2015. وبتوجيهات مجلة السلطان رحمة الله عليه السلطان قابوس قرر بناء مجسم نفس المكان المكتشف إلى حديقة السماء وحديقة النباتات. كونها الديناصور المكتشف هذا كان ديناصور غذائي، يعني يتغذى على النباتات. فقط كمعلومة للحضور.
شكرا جزيلا. Romy Vartan. And that might be our last question.
Let's finish après.
Thank you so much, Jean-François. I have a question about the term of eagle, because on some of the pictures you showed, we seems to have other species than eagles. Some of them have a long neck, some other have a beak which is not the same as an eagle, or even eagle's talons, which seems to be different. So the question is, don't you think the term eagle is used as a generic term to identify birds of prey or raptors, but from different species, such as the vulture, such as I don't know other term for this in English. Oh yeah, falcon.
But I use the term eagle in general way. if I consider even only Yemen, the mountains of Yemen, you have different species of eagles. Huh? Here I have written you have spotted eagles, tawny eagles, steppe eagles recorded in Yemen. The question is, are they really birds in Yemen or birds migrating through Yemen and going north? But you have also falcons, you have also, how do you say, different types of, well, it's very difficult to know because this iconography is rather simple. It's not naturalistic. Huh? Well, so it's impossible to know which kind of eagle, what they have seen, what they have guessed, what they have taken from, I don't know, Nabatea or elsewhere. Huh? Oui. And the late Himyarite eagles are completely Sassanian style, you know. It's not naturalistic with these long necks. There is no birds like this.
Thank you, Professor Breton. Thank you all. By that, I invite you to attend to our conclusion and last session, which is the round table. Thank you very much. We can have a 15 minutes of coffee break at the moment.